So here we are, Car Talk Part 3. In last episode, we had a problem because I've been saving up to buy a Ford Transit van and I'm almost there, have the deposit. However, I need my mom to co-sign with me in order for me to get the van because my income's not high enough to get it on my own. And she set this condition of like, if she co-signed with me, then I can't do DIY things that I want to, like cutting out the windows and installing the windows myself. And it was a huge dilemma for me because I felt like the entire purpose of this project, right, was to achieve some independence and have this space where no one could tell me what to do and, whatever. And so people commented on the last video and put forth a bunch of different ideas, some of which I thought were really cool and interesting. And so the avenue that I have chose to go with, rather than try to save up all the money by myself, which would probably take me another year. And honestly, I might die living here just from the disappointment, of building up this huge goal and not getting it. So the solution that I came up with, well, there are actually two potential solutions. The safer route would be to have a family member who's good at metalworking help me with the first window cut so that my mom feels a little more comfortable about me doing it. And I don't really like this solution because it's my van and I've done so much research on the process of installing windows that I don't feel like I need someone else's help. I don't want someone else's help. And just like creatively, I am the type of person who doesn't like to work with other people. I just enjoy working on projects myself. And I don't know whether it's because I'm like introvert or ADHD or whatever, but when I work with someone else on a project, I feel like I start to get really distracted and stressed out and I can't like focus on what I'm doing. And it feels like this would be a very bad thing for like me cutting into a van. I want to be focused. I don't want to be distracted. So the solution that I may end up going with is the solution that I've oftentimes used, not only with my mom, but with the world in general, especially in the past few years after I started getting into barefoot shoes and other things. It is the strategy of ask forgiveness and not permission. I think this is an important lesson to learn for everyone, no matter how old you are. If you feel like you're stuck in life and you keep asking permission from authority figures to do what it is that you need to do, sometimes you just have to do it and then deal with the consequences afterwards. And I found that this strategy actually works really well, especially when you're dealing with people who are more like safety oriented and they don't want to take risks or see other people take risks because they care about them, etc. But like, here's an example. So I think this was last year. There was this chair. It was from the Philippines. It was my uncle's chair. It's been sitting down in the basement forever. It's kind of this like egg shape chair. It's made out of, I don't know, bamboo or something. And it was like a family heirloom supposedly, but it was just sitting down there like gathering mold. And I thought, well, this would be really cool to like bring up into my room. And so I tried to bring it up, but it was like too big. I don't even know how we got into the basement. Maybe it swelled or something, but like we couldn't even get it out the door. And so my mom's like, well, you're just gonna have to leave it down there. And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe we could like cut it or something. And she's like, absolutely not. This is not yours. It's your uncle's. And what if he comes to get it? But he hasn't gotten it in like 20 years. So one day I'm just like, screw this. This thing is just gathering mold downstairs. And so I just hack it apart with a saw when my mom is gone. And then I bring it upstairs and then I just like duct tape it together. And then she comes home and I've got the chair in my room. And she's like, how did you get it up here? And I'm like, oh, I just cut it in half. She's like, what? And she was mad for, I don't know, about 5 minutes. But then she kind of saw the light of like, my uncle is never coming to get this thing. He's completely forgot that it exists. And I think she ended up asking him about it. And he's like, yeah, whatever. I don't care about this. He lives out in Utah. He's never coming to get it. There's no way for him to transport it to Utah. So anyways, it ended up being kind of a crappy chair and we just threw it out. But the moral is like, yeah, there are all these limitations and lines put forth in the world. And really the only way you can get past them is by breaking the rules. So to bring it around back to the van, I think that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to order all of the windows on the DL probably around the end of June, which is when the window company that I want, that makes the model that I want, is coming out with these new style windows. It's the Arctic Turn windows. They're really cool because they're double pane, so super insulated, but they also fold out. They've got a pull down screen, and then they've also got like a pull down or pull up nightshade, one way or the other. Um, and yeah, they're coming out on June 25th or something like that. Mm. They seem like the perfect windows for van life, and everyone says that they're really good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna order them on the DL. I'll probably pick them up at a UPS location, and then on a day when my mom's gone, I'm going to do the first, probably the biggest window install, and just be super careful about it, not make any mistakes. And then when she comes home, I'll have a window installed, and yeah, she won't be able to say anything at that point because the window will be installed, there won't be any mistakes, and I'll just be able to go through and do my van the way that I want it for the rest of the build. Because this is, this is what you have to do in life if you want to get where you want to go. But so I have that figured out, and that makes me feel better because when you get towards the end of a really big goal, you can get into this mindset of like something is going to go wrong. Like first it was my camera breaking, and that was really expensive. And then it was my mic breaking, and that was not so expensive, but still. And then it was like the thing about my mom like threatening not to give me the loan, and you just get this anxiety, and it's really hard to get through that. And I've been in that space before with big goals, and there's like this tendency, this urge to want to um like break everything down. Like, I don't know, you feel like you're building a house of cards or something, and you just want to blow on it. You know what I mean? And just kind of give up, or I don't know, splurge the money on something stupid just is like I'm like, oh, it's never gonna work. But I think also what's going on right now, I think I'm in, this is what, May? Are we in May? I don't even know what month it is. I'm so tired from working on this project, but yeah, I think I have about a month left, right? Until June 24th. And yeah, the other thing that's going on is I'm just worried about like, is this really going to be the change that I hope that it's going to be? Um, because there are a lot of things riding on this challenge. Like when I started, I had this whole list of all these other like sub challenges that I wanted to do along the way. But I realized, first of all, I didn't have time because I was spending so much time making barefoot videos, which are what make me money. And second of all, yeah, I really needed the van to do these challenges. For example, one was making music, and I just haven't had the time or the energy or the space to do anything like really deep and creative and like a new skill set. And another one was cooking, and yeah, I don't know. It's just like I don't have the motivation to do it inside a space that's not my own. Um, and another one was like dating, and that's another one that's kind of like hung up on the van because I don't want to like try dating people when I don't have my own space. I just don't feel like myself. I don't feel like I have any place to like invite a person in, to like hang out with me. I mean, you can go out into nature, obviously, but there's just something so important about having your own space, just in terms of independence and self-respect and a feeling of success or something, just like a basic level of success. And there's definitely the stigma of like living in your parents' house when you're 33. I know there are some people that are even like older living in their parents' house, and yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, but it definitely can affect your confidence. And other things, it's just like health. Like I've had so many health problems the past 7 years, and part of me has been very curious to see like what will happen when I get into the van. I mean, you can see what's happening now in a space like this where I've started making videos in this little tiny car, and yeah, I'm still in my mom's house, but just having this little scrap of space to myself where I'm kind of like isolated and, creatively insulated from distractions. It's like I'm so much more in flow. I don't stop it. The ideas can just keep coming and coming and coming. And yeah, like I said, I hope this is just a scrap of what's to come in the van. And it'll be interesting from a health perspective to see, like, I have chronic joint pain. In like all of my joints. It's really hard to deal with. And I honestly have not made any progress with it. I've also been dealing with like chronic fatigue, which is probably just burnout from working so hard, but also from being in a place where I'm exhausted just because of the distractions and the feeling of not being, in my own space. And it'll be really curious to see, like, do these symptoms go away or do they get significantly better when I'm in my own van? Um, and also just like, I think the sunlight will be so healthy for me because in my room, I have just these two tiny windows and it is like a freaking cave in there. And the few times that I have done psychedelics in my mom's house in that room, that's like one of the things that I've noticed more than anything. Like I just have this desire to want to get out of that room because it's so dark and depressing and cave-like. And I oftentimes go into like the other part of my mom's house where there's this sunroom, which has like surround huge windows. And that's the feeling that I want for my van. I'm going to have two big windows in the back and then on either side. So I'm going to have the windows in the back. And then here I'm going to have my desk with my speakers and my e-ink monitor. And then I'm going to have two windows on the side of the desk, which are going to be those folding windows, the Arctic Tern ones that I was talking about. So I'll be able to get like a crosswind and also some like sound and just so much light, which is great for e-ink devices because they don't have any light of themselves. They're just using ambient light, but it'd also be great for just feeling like I'm out in nature, and not trapped inside a house, which is, it's so unhealthy. I feel like a lot of people, like just like everyone now, is just spending all of their time indoors. I remember when I went to get a thyroid ultrasound, like as most people know, I haven't been to a doctor in four years. Yeah, 4 years now, but I did go to get a thyroid ultrasound, which is not really a doctor's visit. It's more of, I don't know, a specialist or something, or a technician. But this poor woman, she's just doing ultrasounds one after another in this dark room, and she was pregnant. I'm like, my God, what? And like so many people are like this. I mean, people may be lucky enough to have an office where they have windows, but especially with doctors who are in hospitals, like there's no sunlight. They spend their entire lifetimes indoors, and I just don't want to live like that anymore. I mean, I'm so lucky to be a YouTuber because I can go out and I can hike or trail run whenever I want, if I feel like I need some sunlight, but still I have to spend a certain number of hours slaving away chained to my computer. And yeah, unfortunately I don't have like an e-ink laptop, so I can't take it outside, and no one's made an e-ink laptop yet. So it's just not practical to like take my e-ink monitor and iMac or Mac Mini outside every time I want to work out outdoors, But I've reached this stage towards the end of my challenge where in the beginning I was really excited and I could just feel the van, but I worked so freaking hard. I've been through so many challenges, just health issues and insomnia and, loneliness, that like I'm having a hard time like even visualizing the van anymore. And it's also the worry of like, is it going to work out, So I'm just really looking forward to that moment when I finally get into the van and that first day where I can just like shut the cargo door. And I don't know, I'm thinking about taking a day off, but maybe I should take like a whole week off and travel somewhere, I don't know, to the Adirondacks maybe, and just like do a total reset on my entire life. Because I haven't even gone a full day in the past 7 years without not working. I've taken some like partial days off, like if I'm on vacation, like when I went to the beach recently, but I was still filming content, you know what I mean? I just haven't stopped, and I'm really looking forward to just being able to stop and reaching that point in my life where I can calm down and yeah, I think it will be good for me, but it's really hard in the last stretch of a big goal. It's just so weird looking back on 7 years of my life because when I left my copywriting job, I thought there's no way that I would ever be stuck here for 7 years. And it's not like I haven't accomplished anything. It's not like it was wasting my time or something. I've learned all these skills like filmmaking and coding, and I've made friends. I've gone to concerts and whatever. It's not like my life stopped, but it definitely felt like it took a detour from where I should have been. And yeah, it's really lonely. I've been putting so much work into my channel and saving up for the van that I've had nothing left over to like have fun. So especially in the past year, to go to concerts, to like meet new people, to start relationships. There just hasn't been any extra energy left over. And like whenever you say on the internet that you're lonely, of course the first suggestion that people have is like, oh, like why don't you go out and meet people? But it's just an equation. Sometimes you just don't have enough energy, and it takes a lot of energy to meet people, and I feel like it's getting harder and harder to meet people who are worth meeting. Like even 7 years ago, I would just constantly run into people who I found attractive and interesting. But I don't know, it's like multiple things have happened because, for one, I think I've also just gotten more in touch with like who I am and what I want. And when that happens, especially as you get older, like it sort of narrows down the range of people who you can have a really deep connection with, because you know what you're looking for, you know what you need. And most people are not going to fit into that, at least for like a longer term, deeper relationship. Like obviously I can connect with anyone. I can have a great conversation with some random person that I meet on the canal. But it's much different, especially for like a romantic relationship, or our friends too. But I do feel like my body especially is like just craving physical touch, and just like I just want to lie down with someone and not move for about 10,000 years. You ever feel like that? I think it's a feeling that type A people experience a lot, especially if they're a type A person who doesn't have like a type B person or someone calming in their life, because you can kind of just feel like you're on this endless roller coaster ride where you're just going up and down and around and you can't stop. You're just working and thinking constantly. And yeah, I feel like physical touch, I don't know, holding someone's hands, laying down with someone, hugging someone, just being around someone in general is one of the most calming things for me, ironically, because I'm so freaking introverted and independent and whatever. But for the right person, obviously, it's like deeply fulfilling. And I'm just hoping that the van will be like the core from which I can start to regrow myself and feel like it was always like, for example, in college, I remember when I got my single for the first time, and I just love that feeling of like they had these heavy doors that you could just like slam shut and just like lock the door and I don't know, chill in your own universe. And it was so healing, and it like gave me the I don't know, the security or I don't know. I don't even know what it was, but it actually motivated you to like go out and like and search out connections, because you always knew that you had some place to come back to. But when you have no place to come back to, like right now where I don't really have my own space, you're just in this constant feeling of like being ground down. Like, have you ever listened to a car and when the brakes start to go, you just get that like, or the wheel drums, and it's like that constantly sound. That's what I've felt like more and more over the past 7 years, is just like being ground down by not having enough like existential, I don't know, like wheel lubricant or something. And yeah, I God, it feels really good being in the space right now because it's freaking hot in here and my body does run cold a lot of the time. And that's yet another thing that I'm looking forward to being in with my hermit crab shell is like warmth. Because I get creative when I'm warm. I feel like making connections with them when I'm warm. My whole like language changes when I'm warm. Like I today I was recording the best Barefootwear voiceover, and it was really long, and it was good, but like something about being in that room feels very cold to me. You could feel it in my like language, my body language, my I don't know, my tone of voice or something. And then when I get into a hot space like this, I'm more like loosey goosey or something. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but going back to the original point, if you think about video games, there's always a boss at the end of each level, right? And you're never going to get past the boss without risking something. And you're also definitely not going to get past the boss if you just try to politely ask permission. I mean, can you imagine if there's like this large hulking creature and you're like, "Hello, sir, I would like to get to level 45. Could you please let me pass?" It would never work, and it doesn't work in life either. I think when you get to that point where you feel like you are about to level up or you need to level up, it really helps to realize that you're going to have to put yourself into a situation where you can't back down. And that's kind of what I did with the van challenge because I made this van plan video where I set the challenge up and I said exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to buy the van in 1 year. And I realized that, putting this message out to like, what, 20,000 people at the time, something like that, if I had backed out of it, it would have been humiliating. It would have been the end of me. And how would anyone have trusted what I say like going forward as a content creator? And it's the same thing with my mom as well, and the cutting the holes in the van. I feel like it's just something that it's a situation that I just have to put myself in. It's like what's the phrase? Float or sink, sink or swim. The deep end, something like that. So yeah, I don't know. Put yourself into the deep end and see what happens.